the creatives who have the best falls are not necessarily the most talented ones, but they are prepared. And preparation in this context doesn't mean grinding. I'm not talking about hustle your way until like you're staying up all night long and not getting enough sleep. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It means making good decisions in this quiet time so that you're not making desperate ones when you are in your busy season. Welcome to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where we blend rock solid tips with a little bit of magic. I'm your host, Renee Bowen, a life and a business coach, professional photographer, Diet Coke lover, and mom of 3 grown kids. Here to walk you through all the ins and outs of identity-based marketing and how to run a business that feels like freedom. Hey, welcome back to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo. I am your host, Renee Bowen. Thank you for being here again. If you are a longtime listener and if you're new here, welcome. I am so happy that you're here. Before we get into the meat of today's episode, I just have a couple things I want to mention really quickly. I am doing a giveaway with Renee, which is a quarterly gift box curated for the woman who has built something and deserves to enjoy it. This is a beautiful gift box. I recently received one as a gift, and I was immediately just, first of all, floored by the quality of the products that are in this box and so grateful to receive it. And then I immediately said, I have got to let my audience know about this awesome service. Maybe you want to send something like this to your clients. This would be such a nice gift for a client who has really invested well with you, that you want to really nurture that relationship. And so I have partnered with them for a giveaway so that you can enter to win one, so that you can experience what it's like to receive one, and then decide whether you want to send one to someone as well or purchase one for yourself too, because it's a nice little thing to do for yourself. Let me tell you. So all you have to do to enter the giveaway is click the link at the very top of the show notes right there. It's aravebox.com/Renee Bowen giveaway. But just click the link. It's there for you. And all you have to do is just sign up with your name and email. Now, if you want an extra little entry, go ahead and leave the podcast a review at ratethispodcast.com/Renee Bowen. And the giveaway goes until June 1st. So get on that right now so you can try and win one of these amazing, amazing boxes. And so the other thing I want to let you guys know about has to do with the way that my coaching and my group coaching has been structured and how that's changing because things are shifting this summer. So as a lot of you guys probably know, if you have listened for a little bit, I offer one-on-one coaching. I also work with photographers in particular. I do work with creatives of all kinds, but I do have courses specifically for photographers, mainly senior photographers, since that is what I specialize in. And I have a course called Level Up, which is basically a business in a box for senior photographers. It's literally every single thing that you could possibly ever need to know about how to start or run or maintain a sustainable, profitable senior photography business. So I've been offering that since 2019, and this summer I'm going to change the way that it's structured. If you already have Level Up, by the way, this doesn't really affect you. You're going to get an email with some information. I'm updating it. I am adding some things to it. I'm removing some things from it, but anything that I remove, you don't need it. It's outdated, or I've updated it or replaced it. Okay. So don't stress. But in the past, I have run this in tandem with one-on-one coaching for senior photographers. So when you sign up for a one-on-one container with me, whether it's 3-month or 6-month, you would get access to my entire vault of education as well. And Level Up is part of that. So what's changing is that Level Up will now be called Senior Photographer Pro in its new iteration. You will be able to purchase this course on its own. It will be a standalone course that you can walk through. I'm building it so that you'll have a little bit of AI help in there from me, obviously programmed with my AI, so that you could walk through it on your own. So this is good for people who want something more self-paced, not as high of an investment, etc. And then you will have the option to add on group coaching for that program while you're in it. Okay. So that will be an additional layer to it. So you can always add that on if you want a little bit of extra help from me as you walk through it. And then you'll also be able to add on one-on-one coaching from there. So all that to say, my pricing structure is changing. If you've been on the fence about one-on-one coaching with me and you know it's something that you want to do, you probably want to reach out soon because my pricing is increasing as we head into late June, early July. I'm not 100% sure exactly when that change is going to be made, but it's soon. So I get messages from you guys a lot who tell me you want to coach with me. It's on your list. It's something that you definitely want to do. And this will be, I just want to be very straightforward with you guys. This will be the last time you'll be able to get it in the iteration that it's in now and at the price that it's at now. Obviously, just reach out with any questions. We can always hop on a call and chat. And the other layer to this is that I really only have like 2 spots open for one-on-one containers right now. So if it's something that's been on your heart, let's chat because I don't want you to miss that opportunity, especially if you're somebody who's been in my universe for a while and been waiting. So the other thing that's changing is Elevate. Now, Elevate has been my group container for senior photographers for a few years now. It originally started as just a natural evolution from my one-on-one container to a group because I had one-on-one students who didn't necessarily want to like go away completely and they still needed accountability and coaching, but not at the one-on-one level. But over the years, I have allowed new people, meaning new to me, come into the container. So that's the part that's changing. Starting now, because I am enrolling now for a July start date, it's a 6-month container. It goes from July through December. I am only going to invite people into Elevate who have previously coached with me or have been previous members of Elevate, right? So obviously all Elevate members are still welcome. If you're in there, nothing's really changing for you guys in that respect. I'm just changing the way that I'm opening the container up to new people. So if you are a previous coaching student of mine and you know you want a spot, get in touch ASAP so that I can chat with you about it and hold it for you because I don't really have a lot of spots open either. That's the other thing. I kind of limit the enrollment because I like the group to stay manageable and because we have a Voxer thread. And so I don't want that group Voxer thread to get crazy. But that's one of my favorite parts about Elevate actually is the group Voxer because sometimes we just have the funniest conversations in there. Anyway, all that to say, if you are interested in Elevate and you've previously coached with me or you were in Elevate before and you want to come back, just get in touch with me and we can chat. So those are the ways that you can work with me right now. And I'm also toying around with the possibility of using my Substack paid subscription as sort of an entryway into a different kind of coaching container. But stay tuned for those details because I don't have that all mapped out yet. And I also have my other programs for senior photographers, like my creative team method. And I'm also trying to put together a Claude workshop for creatives and photographers. So stay tuned for that because I have Claude skills that you can purchase right now. I've got custom GPTs. I've got some AI stuff for you guys too. So definitely check out that page on my website. I'll link it for you if you are looking for any sort of like AI tools and help. I've got those for you as well. Now, obviously, when you work one-on-one with me, we dig into some of that stuff too, if it's something you want to add to your business. So I can teach you how to customize that for you and your business and however you want that to look. Okay, let's get into today's episode. And I don't want to make this super long either. I say that all the time and then I tend to ramble, but basically we're heading into June. Okay, so it's almost June. And if you're a photographer, you are either about to get real busy or really slow. It's so interesting to me how, our region and demographics and things like that really make such a difference for how busy we are at different times of year. Like the coaching clients I have who are in the deep South, they don't really want to be outside shooting during the summer. But for other parts of the country, like Minnesota and, the Midwest, this is your time. You're going to be busy June, July, August, September, and then it gets really cold and nasty. And so for me, you guys know I'm in SoCal. I pretty much can shoot year round with some exceptions. So I have been thinking a lot about timing and where people really are in their businesses and what to do with some downtime if you have it, and also how to handle not having the downtime. because in general, this can be the time of year where inquiries are down because it's the end of a school year. People are like, they're not thinking about pictures if you are a photographer and you're not booked already for summer and fall. This tends to be like your last hurrah to try and get a big, nice chunk of bookings. So, unless you're already booked for summer and fall as a photographer, senior photographer specifically, this could be a little bit harder of a season to get those inquiries because people just aren't really thinking about it right now because school's basically done. It's summer. A lot of people go on vacation, they leave town. So this could be a little bit of a tricky season for some of you. And even if you're not a photographer, but you run your own business, this can impact you too, because people have their kids home now. They might not be buying courses in the same way because they don't feel like they have the time to devote to it while their kids are out of school, all that kind of stuff. So I started my photography business when my kids were really little. So, the twins were 5, Reese was 7, and I grew it while they were growing up, basically. And summers were really hard. I just want to be really honest about that. They were very difficult. That was a really busy time for me. I rarely took time off. There were many vacations where I was editing in the passenger seat on road trips because, even if I could get away for like a week at a time, I was working a lot during that time. I wasn't actually really stepping away from my business. And that's something I really regret and something I don't want you guys to do. And I know it's really hard to step away from your business when, you're the only one doing all the stuff, but you can't really get that time back with your kids. And it's really hard to try and be a present mom and to have a regulated nervous system and to, make money running your business and to keep all your clients happy. I get it. It's really, really hard. But I'm telling you, if that's you and you've got little ones right now and you are either not taking vacations or you're working your way through a vacation and you're kind of telling yourself, this is just a phase, this is just like a season of life and it'll get easier when they get older. That's not really true. What you're doing is basically setting up a pattern. And while, yes, your kids won't need you in the same way later that they do now, honestly, looking back now, I really, really, really wish that I had put some things in place and planned better so that I could spend a little bit more intentional time with my kids during the summer. And one day you're going to be like me and all your kids are going to be grown and summer's going to look really different. So if you're in a slow season, okay, let's just reframe that for a second. So your words really matter. If you're calling it slow season, how's that feel in your body, and what are you getting back in return for that? Like if you are putting it out there that you're slow and you don't have enough clients, then that's where you're going to find more proof of. And that's neuroscience. It's not woo-woo stuff. But there's really kind of two modes in a creative business: execution mode and design mode. So the execution part of it, right? That's the taking action. That's the, if you're a photographer, the shooting, editing, delivering, the creating content in real time, meeting with your clients. And then the design piece is the thing that makes the execution work better. So building the strategy, the systems, getting the clarity about who you are, what you offer, what you're talking about, who you're talking to. You can't really do both of those things at the same level at the same time. We think we can, but we can't. Your brain literally isn't really wired that way. So if you're in full on execution mode, shooting 3 times a week, editing, running the back end of your business, and then also being a mom, being a human, trying to make sure your kids don't, fall off the furniture, whatever it is, your prefrontal cortex is fully occupied. The creative, strategic, deep thinking part of your brain goes quiet because you just don't have the bandwidth for it. And it's really a recipe for dysregulation, truly. So the ideas that are going to carry you through fall, they're not really going to come through right now, is basically what I'm trying to say. It's going to be really hard for you to do that. But what I've seen is that most creative entrepreneurs actually waste this slow season because they fill it with fake busyness. They find tasks that feel productive, but they don't actually really move the needle. They try and fill it by doing things like maybe reorganizing things or taking somebody's course, but they're doing it because they want to fill the stillness, because with a creative brain with nothing to execute will kind of get some anxiety going. I know this because I've done this and I see it in my coaching all the time. So the reframe that I kind of want you to play around with is that slow season isn't really a gap in your business. It's just part of your business. It's a season where you get to design what comes next. And honestly, the people who have a really productive Q4 and a really profitable Q4 are not the ones who hustled the hardest all summer. They just got really clear. So clarity made in May and June is money earned in Q4. The decisions you make right now about who you are for, what you charge, what your experience looks like, what your marketing actually says, those decisions will compound. You're not necessarily going to feel them right this second, but you are going to feel them in October. And if you don't set some stuff up now, your fall is going to feel really chaotic because then it's that feast or famine cycle, right? Where you are working in the business, but you're not doing anything to continue marketing, or you don't have systems in place to help you. And I'm just going to throw a little bit of this human design layer in there for a second, because I know a lot of you guys in my audience are really interested in human design and kind of digging into it. And that really has a lot to do with your energy. And so I do want to talk a little bit about energy for a second, because one of the things that I come back to over and over again in my coaching work is that not every person is designed to operate the same way. Because a lot of you guys are trying to compare your level of productivity to what other people on the internet are doing. And that's never a good idea. Human design is basically a system that maps how you're energetically designed, how you're meant to make decisions and meant to work and meant to use your energy. And I bring it up here because I think one of the reasons that a quote unquote slow season can feel so uncomfortable for a lot of people is that they're fighting their own design without really knowing it. Okay, so I'm going to just give you a really quick little breakdown of each energy type and what this season is really asking of you. So if you're a generator or a mani-gen, which is the majority of the people in the world, your energy is built to respond. You're not actually designed to sit down and create from nothing. Okay. I'm a generator. I know this. I've tried to do this. It doesn't work. We're designed to respond to things that come to us. So a question somebody asks, a problem that you see, a conversation that sparks something. So when slow season hits and that incoming stimulus goes quiet, it can feel like your energy just dried up. Like you don't know what to create or what to do next. And that doesn't feel good for us. But what actually needs to happen, I think, in June is to fill in your inputs. So read the things that you've been meaning to read, listen to the podcasts, have conversations, consume the right kind of content, right? Take a walk, let your sacral respond to what lights you up. Follow those breadcrumbs of joy, because the ideas for fall are not going to come from staring at a content calendar or listening to the myriad of gurus who keep telling you they have the answer. They're going to come from something you experience or encounter that makes you go, oh, okay, I have something to say about that. So your job this season isn't necessarily to produce, it's to receive. If you're a projector, you're not really built for sustained output. So you probably already know that because you've been pushing yourself like you are and then wondering why you're exhausted all the time. So a lot of projectors come into my coaching. Once they learn about their human design, things really start to click for them. But this season is genuinely your season, right? Projectors are designed to study and observe and develop wisdom and systems that they then guide others through. Rest is not a reward for you. It is literally how you do your best work. So use this time to go deep into something, okay? Develop a framework or think through a new offer that you've been thinking about. You're not wasting time just letting it simmer, okay? It's like you're charging your battery, basically. Now, if you're a manifester, you're meant to initiate and inform. So you also need periods of rest. Don't get me wrong, but you're probably already 3 steps ahead of everybody else in your own head, and you have been since January. If you're not in a deep rest period, which can happen, you could use this time to actually map out what you want to initiate in the fall with specifics. This works really well for you because if you don't really have a clear plan before fall comes, you might feel compelled to start 10 things in September, and that follow through is not going to happen. So the quiet is your planning season, right? But get precise about it. But the thing that's true for every energy type is that this season is asking all of us to do less performing and more designing. The specific form that takes is going to look different depending on how you're wired, but the invitation is the same for everybody. So stop measuring this season by output. Start measuring it by decisions made and things that are built. Those are two different scorecards. Okay, so I've actually outlined 5 specific things that you can actually do this summer that will set you up for a completely different fall. So let's get into it. The first one is make 3 decisions that compound. So there are 3 decisions in your business that affect everything else downstream. And I think most people either really never make them or they make them every few months and then unmake them when they're scared. So those decisions are your who, your price, and your experience. The who is your client, who your services are actually for, but not like women who want beautiful photos. I want you to get really specific about this. What kind of person books you and you genuinely feel lit up by that work? Okay, what are those details? What does she care about? What does she drive? What does she say when she talks about what she wants? How does she feel on the daily? Get really specific. And then your price is obviously your price. Not what you think the market's going to accept, not what you think you can get away with, not the number that you just randomly picked that's slightly higher than last year. You do need to look at your prices and see if you need to reevaluate, right? Because maybe if you sell goods, those have gone up. But your price is a decision that you make from your value and your experience and your actual cost, obviously, of living and running a business, but also what you want to make. You're allowed to have a say in that. And then once you make that decision, stop revisiting it every 60 days. And then your experience is what it actually feels like to work with you, from that first inquiry to, delivered product. Every touch point, what stays, what goes, what gets added, what you're known for. This is your brand as a living thing, not just like a logo that you wear. You really need to do a good audit of these things at this time of year. This is a fantastic time of year to do this. A couple of years ago, I did a podcast about like a mid-year check-in, and that's a really good one to do as well. So I'll link it in the show notes for you. This is a really good time of year to do like a reevaluation, almost like a beginning of the year type of thing that we do in either like late December. And for that matter, the class that I held in December called Unavoidable, it would also be a really good time of year to do that as well. So I'll link that for you too, because it's a good time to get very clear or double down on what you did get clear on in January. So the second thing is that I want you to audit your own brand like a stranger would. Okay. Get very real with yourself. Audit your website, your Instagram, pull up the last 10 things you posted or emails that you sent. I hope that you are emailing your list. And if you're not, you should be. And then ask yourself honestly, what does this tell me about who this person is, what she stands for? Like if you were a stranger, what would you feel about your brand? Obviously, this is easier to do if you've got somebody else giving you the feedback. But if you don't have that, then you got to do this for yourself. Does this feel like one consistent point of view, or does it feel like it's all over the place or random stuff that you just kind of put on your site and hope that it would work? Does that speak to the person you actually want to work with? Or is it trying to appeal to everybody? And then just sit with the audit. Okay. Once you are able to do it, I know it's hard to do it sometimes when you're too close to it. Maybe you can also try and use AI for that, but just sit with it when you do it. Don't try and fix anything necessarily right off the bat. Just look at it, let it simmer, notice what feels true, notice what you're, might be sounding like somebody else or feels like you from like 2 years ago. Just notice what you still love, makes you happy, and then what makes you cringe a little bit, right? Because that's just information. The third thing is that you can be using AI as a thinking partner and not a content machine per se. So I talk about AI a lot, but I really feel like most people are using AI wrong. I don't want to use that word, but for lack of a better word, They're using it to produce things faster, right? Just faster captions, faster blog posts, faster emails. And that's cool, but that's not super valuable if it sounds like AI, essentially, right? But the most valuable really thing that you can do with AI, I think, during this slower season, if that's a slow season for you, is to think about it more clearly. Use it as a mirror. Use it as a sounding board, as a collaborator. Use it to ask yourself the hard questions in a low stakes environment. And so there's 4 specific things that you can try. First, feed your website copy and your Instagram bio into Claude or ChatGPT. I've been using Claude way more lately. And then ask it, like, based on this, who do you think I'm talking to? What does this person want? What problem does it seem like I solve? Then look at the answer and ask yourself if that matches who you actually want to be talking to. Okay. Because you might be surprised. Sometimes that gap is really big and you didn't even know it was there. The second thing is to think of your 3 favorite clients from this past year, or maybe the last couple of years. Describe them in detail to your AI, right? Their personality, what they said when they booked you, any testimonial they left you, what made working with them feel good, what they cared about. And then ask the tool, what do these 3 people seem to have in common? Ask it, where do people like this spend their time online and in person? What language does this type of person use when they talk about what they want? That is the basis of a client profile. If you have not done that work, you've got to do it. Third, if you don't have a brand voice document, you got to build one this summer. This is a perfect time to do this. This is going to save you the most time in the fall. Okay. This is the reason why your AI is probably not giving you the right output. You need to spend about an hour or so teaching an AI tool how you sound. You need to spend some time creating this document so that you can teach your AI how you sound, what your voice is, what your messaging is. And it's basically the knowledge base for your entire AI system. It needs to reflect your voice and your messaging. It needs to be built in a very detailed way. There's a lot of really cool things you can add to this. And then once you have this brand Bible or brand book, then you can feed it to your AI as a tool. You can make a custom GPT. But what's really cool is that with Claude, you can upload it as a skill. And that's what I've done. And it's been a game changer for all of my output. And I was getting good output before, but this is like taking it to another level. I actually have a template for the brand book with all the things that I believe should be in it that you can grab. I'll put it in the show notes for you. It's been really helpful for people because you kind of sometimes you don't think about some of the things that you need to add to it. But when you do, the output that you get from AI is just exponentially better. And the fourth thing you can do with your AI is to tell it your revenue goal for Q4. Tell it what you offer, what you charge, and then ask it to build backwards from that goal and show you what you need to do in July and August to hit it. And so the other thing that you can do this summer while you're chasing kids around is to do the identity work that you've actually been avoiding. This one I obviously care the most about, but it's the one that is the hardest to sell to you because it doesn't look productive. I promise you, it is the highest leverage thing that you can do this summer. So, what I mean by that is that most creative entrepreneurs I work with have spent years focused outward, learning tactics and strategies and implementing marketing plans and trying different things, and they're still stuck. And it's not because those things that they learned are necessarily wrong. They could be, but it's really because underneath those tactics and strategies, the identity work wasn't done, or it's changed, or it wasn't done at a deep enough level. So you can have the perfect pricing strategy while believing deep down that you don't deserve to charge that. You can have the clearest ideal client profile while still saying yes to everybody because you're afraid that if you don't market to everybody, you won't be in business. You can post the most strategic content while secretly feeling like an imposter every single time you hit send. The strategy can't outrun the identity. So here are some questions I want you to sit with this summer. Don't answer these quickly, just sit with them. Who is the version of me that runs the business I want to have? Not who I am right now. Who is she? What does she believe about herself? What does she say yes to? What does she not tolerate anymore? What has she stopped apologizing for? I'm going to put these in the show notes for you guys, by the way. The second one is, where am I still building my business around what I think other people want to see instead of what is actually true for me? And then what belief is currently setting the ceiling on my growth? Not a strategy, I'm talking about a belief. What's keeping you at your ceiling? You can journal about these. You can bring them to a coach. You can voice memo yourself on a walk, however you process best. But that's the kind of stuff that you can be doing in between cooking dinner and putting out a piece of content and getting on a phone call with a client. And then the last thing here that I want to mention is that I want you to map your fall before it maps you. So this is more like a practical step. Sit down sometime in June and map your fall out on paper. Okay. Not just like some vague intention. I want you to actually create the plan, get the vision for it. What does your ideal September look like? How does it feel? How many sessions or clients do you want? If you are a service provider of some kind, how many coaching clients can you take on? How many offers do you want to put out there? What's your revenue goal for that quarter? What needs to happen now for that to be possible? So work backwards. Okay. If you want that full calendar, when do you need to start marketing? Hello, now. And then work backwards, because you do need to do marketing for those things, right? What needs to be ready on your website, your social media, whatever your marketing plan is, what needs to be cleaned up so that happens. The creatives who have the best falls are not necessarily the most talented ones, but they are prepared. And preparation in this context doesn't mean grinding. I'm not talking about hustle your way until like you're staying up all night long and not getting enough sleep. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It means making good decisions in this quiet time so that you're not making desperate ones when you are in your busy season. All right. So, real quick before we wrap up, that was a lot of strategy that I kind of just threw at you. You do not need to do all of that. Okay. I want you to pick and choose. You know, I want to give you more options, but I don't want you to feel like you have to do all of those. Okay. Again, it's not about killing yourself to be overproductive. It's about being objective and regulated enough to really see and notice, implement what needs to be done. That's essentially it, right? Because, strategies are useful, but if you don't deal with what's going on underneath it, you're not going to move forward. Okay. Because the thing that happens if you have a busy brain, and a lot of you do, is that quiet sometimes or oftentimes feels wrong. It feels like you're behind. It feels like something's missing. And so you tend to just want to fill it, right? So you create busy work, or you just scroll and consume content, and then you spin and overthink. And all of that activity gives you the feeling of motion without actually moving anywhere. So that pattern is really just a survival mechanism. At some point, your brain learned that productivity meant safety, that if you were doing enough, nothing bad would happen. Okay. That your value was connected to your output. And now that belief runs in the background like a program that you didn't really know was installed, and you don't know how to deactivate it. So I'm not asking you to just decide to believe something different. I'm asking you to notice the pattern. That's really the first step. Catch yourself the next time you pick up your phone because the stillness feels really uncomfortable, and ask yourself honestly, what am I afraid will happen if I slow down? Because the answer to that question is where your actual work is. It's not in your content calendar. It's not in your pricing sheet. It's in that question. Being willing to sit with that and notice it is pretty huge. I got to tell you, not a lot of people can do it. So if you're doing it, you're ahead of the game. And I'm really glad that you are. And it's a muscle that you have to build, just like anything else. You'll get better at it over time. So the summer season, if you let it, is one of the best times to do this kind of work, because you do have a little bit more space. even with all the kids around. I want you to remember to carve out some time for yourself, especially if you're a busy mom. If you've got a whole gaggle of little kids and you're the one holding everything together, and you're also trying to run a business or start a business, because a lot of you guys are starting businesses, you tend to take everything on. Okay. I want you to make sure you are putting some white space on your calendar, or at least scheduling some time for yourself. Get clarity about where you're going with this. That's going to be your guiding light. If you can get some clarity on where you want this to go and how you want this to feel, then we can really create a killer strategy to get there. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. I hope this episode was helpful. I feel like I threw a lot of stuff at you, and I don't want you to do all of that. Like I said, that's not my intention. I want you to zoom out and just essentially feel into what's really important for you right now. Okay. And if you are really busy this summer, I think it's even more important for you to carve out some time to do this too. Okay. Even if it's just a couple hours on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning while you're having some coffee, the least you can do is map out what fall looks like, what you want that to look like and feel like. Because if you are really busy this summer, chances are you're going to be busy in fall as well. And that train is just going to kind of take you, right? You want to be the one in control of that. You want to be in the driver's seat. And I want you to have that perspective of, hey, where is this taking me? And instead of being taken for a ride, you're actually very strategic about what that destination is and how it's going to look and feel when you get there. Like I said, this is a perfect time to dive into some coaching, not just because my structure is changing, but because it just really is. It's a really good time to dig into your own education, clean up your systems, dig into AI, whatever it is, like whatever your goal is, this is a good time to tackle it. It is. So reach out if you are interested in one of those coaching spots. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about, you know where to find me. Hit me up in the DMs over on Instagram at Renee Bowen. And if you are on Substack, come find me over there, because I've been having a lot of fun with Substack. Really digging it. I'm really exploring sort of like more of a personal side over there. I'd love for you to join me. You don't have to sign up for a paid subscription. I would just love for you to just connect with me over there. And if you have questions about Substack, I'd love to chat with you about that too. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a little bit more over there, and possibly even offering some coaching in a different way. So stay tuned for what that could look like as well. The link for my Substack is below, so just come over and say hi. Don't forget about the giveaway as well. That is linked below. You could win an amazing, curated, beautiful box of goodies from Hervé. And you should go check them out anyway, because I'm telling you, it's such a beautiful gift to give your clients. If you're looking for a really nice high-end gift to send to someone, you need to check them out. Have a great rest of your day and your week. I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.